Welcome to the Black Lion Podcast. We are your hosts, Lex and Dom. And today we have a special guest. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Dominique Lambright.
Can you tell the audience about the name of your business and what services your business provide, please?
Yes, I have a business called DML Editing and Writing, and I provide editorial and writing services such as editing books, technical documents, formatting books. Technical document, it depends. I can format it if chosen. And then I write content. I write ghosts. I do, yeah, sorry. I ghostwrite, I blog, and then I can write content for websites if necessary as well.
What inspired you to start your business?
So I initially wanted to go to college to become an author. Everybody has their doubts about becoming an author. Oh, you're not gonna make money, blah blah blah. I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this. So, I when I got into college, I decided to go in the English field, but my counselor kind of told me I should probably focus on something that's going to make me some money. So instead of going the creative writing track, I decided to go the English professional technical writing track. So I got my Bachelor of Arts in technical professional writing. And during that process, I still took electives in creative writing, but I actually became to love editing. I got introduced to it in some of my business writing courses. And I took a publishing course and they talked about editing. I took a technical writing course, so that also had editing as well. So my love of editing came after my love of writing. So once I got into that, kind of understood it, I decided that I kind of wanted to go into both. Before I got out of college, I got pregnant, had my first child at 21, and I lost my current job that I had at that time. So I decided to see what I could do online. And I started on Thumbtack, which is a place where you can say, this is my business, I offer these services. So one of my first big projects was a really long book, actually. We worked on it for months, and once he published it, I felt really good about it. I enjoyed the process that I was able to help him through, and so I decided that this was something that I could do. I wanted to work for myself, be able to manage my own projects, hours, things like that. So after that, I still had day jobs here and there, but in 2018 is when I decided to go full on my business, got my EIN number and everything. And my love of writing has been with me since I learned how to write. So that makes me excited that it's stuck around this long. I'm a person that gets bored easily. So writing has always been there for me. It's the way I can express myself the most. So I love it. And I love helping other people. Get through their book projects and any other content like businesses. I love helping blog for them. I learn a little bit, they learn a little bit through the process. So it's all very exciting. Writing ranges on so many levels.
Would you say that your prices are affordable or fair market?
I believe so. When I first started, of course, they were a little bit lower. I've been doing this for 6 years, going on 7 in March this year. So my prices have gone up since I initially started. But what I've learned is that, how do I want to say it? So initially, I started charging by hour and page count of book projects. As I went along the process, I realized that the pricing wasn't fair to some people with the same amount of words as another person, because people, when they hand me their projects, they might format or size their font differently. So they could have more pages, but really only have, say it's a 200-page book. They could really only have like 100 pages once you format it right and put the right font and size and things added to it. So I didn't want to be charging someone else a higher or lower price when they have the exact same project. So I figured charging by word count was the best. That way, each person across the board is paying the same price. The only time that fees get added, of course, is there's extra work. If there's more editing that needs to be done after the initial edit, things like that. And I've gone pretty much off the standard editorial pricing. I can't think of the website right now, but there is an editorial association that people can Google to look at base pricing on things like that. And of course, your experience goes into that as well. Like I said, initially my prices were a lot lower. I have upped them over the years, and that's also because of the value I feel like I give my clients. I feel like I go above and beyond. Where some editors were charged extra for certain things, I don't. I include formatting. I help people self-publish if they choose that route. I'm not good at the traditional things, so but self-publishing, I feel like I can offer up my tips and tricks and things that I do and things that I've learned self-publishing my own books. So I think the value that I provide in my services is what really gets my clients. So
Do you have any of your books on hand?
um actually I have all 10 of them because they just came in the mail. So this was my first ever one. It's a small poetry book, positive poetry, and I wrote most of these poems while I was in probably towards the end of high school going into college. So this was most of my poetry in high school stemmed from sad moments. So I challenged myself to just write a poetry book about positivity. So that was I had to dig deep. And then this one was my second one. I did the cover myself. It looks kind of choppy, but I'm okay with that because it's called Life Emotions and a Little Eroticism. So it's a lot of life experiences, a lot of emotional things in here. And then I do have short stories along with my poetry in here. So that's exciting because it was short stories are where I got to figure out that I wanted to write more than poetry and then actually longer books. So then I did get under a publisher for a little bit. So this was my first one under a publisher called Betrayed and Scorned. And it's a compilation of short stories, but they all go together. So, I mean, a lot of people would argue it's just a regular book, but literally I wrote these scattered out. I didn't write them in order, but it works. And it's an erotica slash mystery. So there's sexual things in here, but there's also a twist in here that I get a lot of responses about, so it's exciting.
So basically, like Saul,
Not like Saw.
not killing wise, but
Oh,
you feel like it's scattered. Saul is scattered.
so my thing was the transitions are like Law and Order. You know, once they have a scene, they make that noise and it blacks out, and you come up somewhere else. So that's kind of how it is. The main character is a lawyer, so that kind of gave me that idea for that. So it's like you'll get one story, and then it'll go, and it might go into like the middle of the book or something, but as you read along, everything starts to make sense. Like once you get pieces of things here and there, you're like, oh, okay, so when he did this, that's when that happened. So it's kind of like that. So it's interesting. And then I did this book, which is my most recent one from, I believe, October last year. Or yeah, October last year. This one actually originated from a short story workshop I did in college, and I wrote the short story for it. My sister read it and said I should always make a book out of it. I never did because I was like, nah, I don't feel like it. But when I wrote a Christmas anthology and I put the story in there, my publisher at the time was like, oh, can we make a full book out of this? I was like, all right, I guess my sister's getting what she wants. So she was definitely one of the first people who bought that book. So that was exciting. It kind of, my short story was like in the middle of the book. So I wrote the beforehand to my original short story and the aftermath. So that was awesome. And then I did start a series of books for my business. So this is the first one, Editing 101. And I put learning to self-edit. This one helps a lot of people understand the value of self-editing before you get to an editor. It also gives you some really reliable tools that can help you self-edit, and just a lot of tips and tricks on ways to enhance your writing. Then this one's achieve your writing goals. So this kind of helps you make, a lot of times we write down a lot of goals that we want to have, but we don't really execute them or have a plan to execute them. So a lot of those goals get pushed to the wayside. So that book kind of helps um, bring your goals to fruition in a way. And then this one is planning for writers. This one is more so after the goal setting portion. So they kind of go hand in hand. It lets you know how to not waste a lot of time thinking. I mean, not thinking, but it helps you plan so you don't waste time when you actually sit down and write. And then there is this one, Great Beginnings for Writers. I love this book because it's a lot of strategies on hooking the reader, starting a novel. It helps you avoid common mistakes when you start novels. So the beginning is everything. It's that first paragraph or sentence or first page that people pick up at the bookstore and they're like, okay, don't want to read this. Let me see how this starts. Or even in the middle, someone might come to an end hook, like a cliffhanger or something like that. So this book has a lot of different ways that you can hook readers and start your book in different ways and avoid the cliches of like starting in a dream, or it lets you know that you're misleading the reader if you start in this way or that way. So I think that one's a really good one. And then this one, it's a small one, but it's more on outlining your book and focusing in what your book is about. So it's kind of a lot more geared towards nonfiction books, like when people write books about their lives or self-help books. And when people write books about their lives, they kind of drift off and just ramble at times. So that's kind of helping you focus in what your book is really about, what is the purpose of it, and if what you're putting in your book is actually necessary. And then this last one is about scene setting. So this is more about showing us and not telling us, and the impact of showing and not telling, and also helping you set a scene for the reader and bringing them into the scene with smell, touch, taste, sight, and hearing. So it goes through all those examples and showing you how to execute those properly. And I will put out 4 more books for my business series this year, and I plan on writing 4 other fiction books as well this year.
Right. So, since you had started your business, have you had any complaints from any customers?
um, so if I am being completely honest, in my 6 to 7 years of being an editor, I have had 2 projects where I have given them back just and given full refunds because either the project was not what I thought it was taking it on, and it was a lot worse than what was initially, I guess, the understanding of it. And then the second one, there was a guy, he didn't understand the process and the tediousness of his project. And so he kept asking me like, oh, well, when am I going to get it back? I was like, okay, it's taking a little longer because I didn't realize, everything that was going into your project. Like, I literally had to change every single line in his book, and it was like a 300-page book. And I was just like, I'm sorry that it's taking this long. So he complained about a lot about the time, but on my end I wasn't able to evaluate it properly, so I just ended up giving him his money back. And I think there have been a few that I never took on based off of after the sample edit. They didn't feel like I was the right editor for them, which that happens. I have no problem with that. You want to make sure that you have a good connection with your editor and understanding on both ends and things like that. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's okay. And I have other editors that I recommend people sometimes. So
Yeah. So, how do you choose what projects you will do?
um so I don't put myself in a box as a writer, so I don't do that either with my editing. I'll pretty much edit anything unless it is a historical fiction or nonfiction. I never liked history in high school. I sure as heck don't like reading books about history. So I will not take those on. Only knowing myself, I will not be interested at all. And I don't want to do that book project a disservice by not putting my all into it. I mean, there are books that I favor more than others. Like self-help books are nice. Sometimes I learn, actually majority of the time I learn something out of self-help books that I edit. So it's great talking to those clients about what they've written, their journeys that incorporated towards the book. I love fiction. Sci-fi is my favorite, even though I write romance and erotica the best. I do want to write a sci-fi. I want to write horror, drama, suspense, thriller. I want to write it all, but I know I'll probably like I said, I write erotica and romance the best. So who knows what my reviews will be if I venture off into those other genres, but I don't care because I write for myself. So and so I really enjoy my fiction clients. I don't mind a nonfiction. Those happen to be the most difficult sometimes though, only because it's their baby and it's most of the time about their journey into something while they're trying to teach their audience something. So sometimes they don't like to hear what I have to say as far as feedback. But all in all, I think it makes them a better writer in the end.
Got to take criticism, well, constructive criticism for your work so you can
Right.
become better.
Yep, and I remind people of that too. I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude with my words, I just want to make sure that we're getting everything you want to get out of your project, making sure that the audience is understanding what you're saying. And, overall, we want a good book. At the end of the day, it is still their book. So if they choose to take my feedback or not, that's on them. Some stuff is easily like, okay, you don't want to do that, or oh, this is a stylistic choice, that's fine. And then there are other things that are like, okay, if you do this, you may get, feedback in your reviews about these certain things, So I just make sure I cover everything.
How do you do with time management between working and your children?
Ooh. Because I work at home, I feel like I can honestly say that I do need to work a little bit better on it, and that is actually my goal for 2021. I do need some more self-care time. I'm a workaholic, I'll say that. So I do know there are times that I need to just be like, okay, I'm done for the night. I need to go and spend time with my family, or if I have people in my life that hold me accountable to my family time as well, so that helps.
Where do you see your business being at in the next 5 years?
Uh, whew. Hopefully, I can work with more consistent clients. And when I say that, not to knock any of my clients who write one book, or maybe just two, but I want to work with publishers so that I can get consistent work. I do work with two right now. But they also have like other editors as well, so whatever comes and they hand it out to whoever. So I just want to get more consistent with the workload that I get, and so that I can plan it better. Like you just asked about work life balance, I want to be able to balance it better by knowing what I'm going to get every month. Like, okay, from this person I'm going to get this project, and maybe not even having the specifics, but they'll be like, oh, I'll have two for you next month, or oh, I'll have one here. And then the other person's like, oh, I'll have two for you, just like that. So that I can just be better prepared, map out my time better and things like that.
Are there any inspiring words or advice that you would tell someone who wants to start a business?
I would say, depending on what that business is, jump right in. I think everything starts with an idea and then you plan it, outline it. I'm a very organized person, so I write down tons of things. I make lists. I try to map out as much of it as I can so that I know, okay, I'm going into this. What do I need? So for example, this year I want to really jump headfirst into being an author. Like I've had my business, I've used my business as a way to push myself into the literary world as an author. So like by people knowing my business, hopefully that'll make them want to, or knowing me as a business owner and have used my services and things like that, hopefully that it'll push them into wanting to read my books more and follow me more on that aspect. But I just have so many ideas that I want to take advantage of as being an author. And I've I put together marketing budgets. I put together if I want to have merchandise, things with my logo on it. I've just mapped out so much stuff in the last like week and so that I'm prepared, so that I know, taxes are coming up. If you get a refund, awesome. If you don't, maybe you already had some money saved up. That stuff comes into account when it's like, okay, I need to invest this, or better yet, asking yourself, how much do you want to invest in yourself, and how much do you think that investment will get a return on. So like me and my books, I buy my paperbacks because I've had more success selling them, signed copies to people. So I mean, I'm glad they're on Amazon and everything, but I've had the most success, people messaging me like, hey, can I get a paperback, things like that. So I think it's really about the planning phase, making sure you're ready to go into it. And then also, I just recently edited a self-help book that was on it's having an exit plan for your business. So I learned a lot in knowing like, okay, if something's not going to work, where do you draw the line and not let it take a hold of you any longer than it needs to. So I think people should have exit plans as well.
Yeah, to reach that goal that they can reach.
Yep.
Where can the audience find you at?
So I have my website, which is dmleditingandwriting.com. I have my Facebook page, which is the same as my business name, DML Editing and Writing. On Instagram, I have my two pages, my business page, DML underscore editing underscore writing, and then my author page, which is author underscore Dominique underscore Lambright. And then my author website should be up sometime this week. I've been getting it together. I'm excited to launch it. I was supposed to launch it at the beginning of the year, but things happen. So, and then all my books will be on there, even my business books on my author website. If you go to my business website, you'll just see my self-help books on there. And my author website is my name, dominiquelambright.com. Um, like I said, hopefully it'll be up this week. So if you see we are under construction, don't be discouraged. And you can also, on my business website, subscribe to my blog. I will give updates to my author website through there as well.
Well, we thank you for coming to the interview and expressing yourself.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see more people having businesses that we could connect to.
Definitely.
Hopefully, next time we have Lex on with you.
Yeah, I'd like to meet him.
Her.
Oh, sorry. Her. My bad. I'm sorry.
But thanks for coming. And until next time.
All right. Talk to you later.